Murthy has made it very tough to not talk about this.
Today's culture is such, right? People just glorify a 70-hour work week, and there's a lot of debate.
Murthy has made it very tough to not talk about this.
You're a kick-ass negotiator. What are some tips you'd like to give to somebody to learn how to negotiate better?
Know your number. I feel like sometimes women are just so sorry to
Yeah.
give a number. I'm so sorry, but I really need this.
Yeah.
It's very powerful and very important to start saying no.
Yeah.
And saying no to the right things, right?
I personally feel that you're building one of the most difficult businesses. The thought that comes to my mind is that they have so many groups.
We are on 5:30.
How do they respond to so many groups? What does spa dressing really mean to you?
What makes you feel confident?
Yeah.
What makes you feel bold? What makes you take control of your narrative?
Ironically, I think not a lot of women know what works best for them. What's the funniest or the most ridiculous piece of feedback that you've ever received?
My pitch and my energy is too much. I will never shrink myself to suit someone else's idea of who I need to be, right? Like,
Welcome to the Blue Carpet Talks, a podcast where we're changing the narrative for women, one inspiring story at a time. I'm Jaini Haria, the founder of J, a brand that's redefining workwear and power dressing and truly celebrating inclusivity. And I'll be your host today for this Blue Carpet Talks. Why the blue carpet, you ask? Well, for far too long, the spotlight has always been on how we look and not on the incredible things we do. So we're rolling out the blue carpet, a space to honor the depth, determination, and drive of women who've broken barriers and transformed industries one bold step at a time. And who better to kick off this journey with than Ragini Das? Ragini is the co-founder of Leap.club, a vibrant community that's empowering women to network, grow, and lead with confidence. She's a change maker who's not just smashing ceilings but helping other women do the same. Today, we'll dive deep into her personal journey to uncover the lessons, challenges, and defining moments that have shaped her path. Ragini, welcome to the Blue Carpet Talks. I'm so excited to have you here and can't wait to just dive in.
Thanks, Jenny, for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and where better to do this than Leap.club itself?
For sure. I just want to say that I really love the vibe of this place. I mean, it just relates so well. And
Yeah,
it's so
no, and you have a blue carpet, we have blue couch, so it's a match made in heaven.
awesome. So why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about you and your journey, like from a 10-year-old Ragini to now, what's it been like?
So the 10-year-old Ragini was actually a tomboy.
Really?
Yeah. I'll give you some context about me and I think just how I grew up and what led me to be me. I'm a South Indian, as I was telling you, right? I grew up across the country. My dad was in the army. So growing up for me was, I was born in Delhi, but I grew up from Srinagar to Chennai. So I have seen it all, right? Even I remember even smaller cities say a Ganganagar and Roorkee that people may not have maybe heard of, to your Delhis and Hyderabad's and Chennai's and your I think larger metros as well. So that was growing up for me. Very soon post my graduation in 2012, I took up a very unconventional path. I picked up a job in Ludhiana at Trident, which was a manufacturing company. So think paper, yarn, terry towels, chemicals. So from the outset, I was handling the Ralph Lauren's and the JC Penney's and all of that. But I think from the inside, I was not enjoying what I was doing. Like every 20, 21-year-old, I was like, where am I? Why am I doing this, right? And the MBA Kida, it bites everyone, of course, bit me. So I was like, chalo, I'll work for 2 more years. And then, of course, follow the whole master's/MBA path. So right then, I think sometime around 2013, and there was this, I interned at Standard Chartered, and who I interned with, his brother used to work at this food tech platform that he told my, in fact, mother about, and he was just I don't know what he's doing, but there is some, they collect menus and they do things like that. So I was like, if it's Zomato, of course, I've heard of it. And I remember back then Zomato used to not hire freshers, but then I had 1 year odd experience. So I'd gone and interviewed, and long story short, of course, I was there for 6 years. I started my career in sales in Hyderabad. I moved to Bangalore and then I moved to Delhi. So out of the 6 years, the first 4 years, I literally spent building and scaling sales teams. I think a lot of my firsts happened there, right? Like my first ever sales pitch, my first ever team, the first time I mentored someone, the first time I failed at a negotiation, the first. So too many firsts happened, I would say, in those, first 4 years. And in my last stint, which was before I started Leap, of course, I was the first person on the Zomato Gold team. So it was the subscription platform.
Yeah.
So I literally helped scale that from 0 to 2 million users. I led international expansion. So all the Southeast Asia, Turkey, Australia, Doha, all of these launches kind of saw that from 0 to 1. I think great journey, lots of learnings, a lot of unlearnings as well, because I think when you come from a completely sales background and then to be put into things like retention and user growth and marketing and performance marketing. So again, a whole lot of different firsts, but those hard skills came in then. And then, and December 2019, I remember I finished 6 years at Zomato and I moved on to start Leap.Club. I spent about a month just like researching, speaking to a lot of like founders. A lot of them were kind enough to respond to me. And, I think Jan 2020 was day zero of Leap.Club.
Yeah, so you have like a lifetime Zomato Gold membership?
I do. I think I became pro and then they went back to it and all of that. But yeah.
Awesome. So what exactly is Leap? Like what led to you to the idea? What's your vision and goal for Leap?
So Leap.Club is India's largest paid network for women. We have 25,000 members, including you. We have predominantly been an online business for the last 5 years. And what it essentially does is it builds a network that helps women build professional connections, build new friendships. You mentioned you have so many friends, you're co-founder from Leap.Club. And attend a lot of events which are a good mix of social and professional. So I think we started Leap.Club as a professional network and very soon we realized women actually also need a social network. They also need their own kitchen table, like people they can genuinely fall back upon. So that's largely been Leap. This year, we have actually taken Leap offline with our first ever community co-working space for women. So we have started with Bombay, and the hope and the goal is to take it to many more cities and create that safe space for women, not just online, but also offline.
I think your idea of Leap is quite incredible. And I also remember one of the conversations with Denise. I think she had mentioned that your Leap original idea was offline first, but then COVID happened and then you pivoted to online and now you're back to offline. So I think it's a full circle.
So honestly, it was never a offline space. It was offline in the sense everything we did in year one, whether it was coaching and those therapy sessions and events and all of those were supposed to be offline. And of course, like you said, literally 1 week before our launch, COVID happened. So we pivoted because everyone pivoted. And I'm honestly glad that pivot happened. Everything said and done, because I don't think we would have launched a Bombay or a Bangalore or a, we have members in Singapore, Dubai, Jaipur. Someone just messaged me yesterday saying I made my first friend in Dehradun.
So how
where we didn't even know like there is, penetration, so to speak. So I feel like it helped us in a way that we could understand the potential of Leap. And then I think when the world opened and we saw the impact that, offline events have or the face-to-face interactions have, and we've spoken since years, right? But like this is literally the second or third time we're meeting in the last year. So I feel like the potential of what an offline interaction can do to your life and your professional and social life is immense. And the whole idea of doing offline was to take our impact to the next level, right? And I think another thing I want to call out, Jenny, is like mission first businesses often run out of fuel, energy and all of that. And I think we started Leap with the hope to prove that you don't have to pick between building a business and building a mission first business, right? And you can do both and you should do both. So yeah.
Awesome. No, and like you rightly also said, right? Through Leap, I've been since the very beginning. I think I was the one.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, and I have gotten like some of the best of my friends. We did one of our first plus size shoots with Raika. She and her husband own like a photo studio here in Bombay itself, and it was one of the best shoots we've ever had. And she's such like
She's
the
been that.
entire group is so adorable because they're always there. So I remember this one day I was feeling low, and for some reason I like said it on some group where Raika was also there. She immediately made another group with 2-3 people. Called it something, and she's like, Jenny is feeling low, let's meet. Let's all meet. And we all met. And it was so good, and we've been connected ever since. And like you also said, my partner now is someone I found from Leap.club. And a lot of things that have helped. Every single question I have, I think I just put it on the group and I get an answer for it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like a super cool community. But can I say that it's the LinkedIn for women?
I feel like when we started, I would have called it a LinkedIn for women. Today, I don't think so, right? Like, I feel like it's not just the connection.
Yeah.
It's the conversation. It's how much you give more than how much you take, right? So I feel like it wouldn't be right for me also to call it a LinkedIn for women, because I feel like it really makes and nothing against LinkedIn, I think they're on a great different path.
Yeah.
But I think for us, the fact that it's women only, the fact that it's give before you take,
Yeah.
I feel like that makes it a little bit more different and bigger than just a LinkedIn for women.
Awesome. How cool. Okay. So coming back to your journey now, what do you say is Ragini's superpower?
So many things. I think a bunch of things, right? Like, I feel like, of course, my DNA test will tell you creativity and memory are my gifted skills.
Oh, really?
But yeah, or so it says. But sometimes it's not great because you remember things that you should not remember. But I think for me, I think what's been a big one has been something that I know a lot of women struggle with, which is imposter syndrome. I don't think it's something that is gifted. I feel like it's something I have developed myself to not have. So it's been a lot of self-conditioning. And I feel like today I'm at a place where I can say that I have zero imposter, right? Like whether it is about how I'm looking, or can I do this or no? Is this too big for me or no? Is this too small for me or no? I don't think that exists for me. And it's taken a lot of practice. It's taken a lot of, telling yourself that literally nobody cares, because nobody does care, right? So I feel like that would be my superpower.
Yeah, and like you rightly mentioned that a lot of women face this problem. They are very low on confidence for a lot of factors. Maybe they're just conditioned by the society to not feel right about their decisions overall, or it's just that they're not exposed enough.
They're conditioned to be grateful
Yeah,
for what we
and
have.
feel guilty about everything.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I like, please be accommodating. Please be grateful.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you got this opportunity, right? Like, I'm just like, no, I have earned it. I have worked hard for it. And that's why I've got it, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it is also a lot of little bit, like telling yourself, be okay with being that water on duck's back sort of a situation where people will say
Yeah.
10 things, but at the end of the day, what matters is what you tell yourself before you go to bed, right? Like, do you believe you did the best thing? And as long as you feel like you did, then there is really nothing to be worried about, right? Like, nobody can judge you
Yeah.
on what you did. Yeah.
No, that's so important, and I think that's also very big learning for a lot of women trying to make something out of, like, make a huge career or take a big step in their life in general. Because the more you think that you are pressurized to do something, or the society expects, or anything of that sort, the lesser you're going to be confident to do that.
Yeah.
So, and with you also, like you mentioned, you started as a tomboy when you were younger, and now you've like also changed to be completely as a person. So having that kind of confidence in the kind of person you are right now, how is that? Like, what led you to change to what you are?
So I feel like there was no leading me to change. I think it's just a natural transition, right? I feel like a big part of, since you use the word change, a big part of my life has been change.
Yeah.
Right? Like moving schools every 2 years. Living in cities, like I said, that people haven't heard about to like suddenly. And I think I remember my biggest change was I went to DPS in Jalandhar and then I went to Chettinad Vidyashram in Chennai. And these are two very differently cultured, schools and cities and like being adaptable, right? And then also discovering in the process who you are and what you like and what you don't like. Like I went to GD Goenka where, of course, everyone was a lot more well-to-do. I'm an army kid, right? Like, so we are not born with a silver spoon. And like our pocket money looks very different from what someone who went to, Goenka kind of looks like. So I feel like it's a lot of me just being honest with myself about who I am and what I want to be, and a lot of inspiration from people who inspire me, right? Like, so it's been a lot of like, I was lucky to have great bosses. I was lucky to have great mentors. And I feel like it's a little bit learning a little bit from everyone that, oh, I like this about this person, right? I love how badass Suchita is, but I love how helpful she is, right? When she wants to be. I love how Ankur will take out time for you. Like, of course, like if he knows you and stuff like that, right? But also if he doesn't know you. I remember my email to him was a cold email, right? I'd met someone and he was trying to poach me from Airtel. He was a chief product officer, Adarsh Nair. I loved how nice and kind he was, right? Like when, even though I said, yeah, I'm never going to join Airtel and I'm very happy in Zomato, right? But I loved my interaction with him. So I feel like it's been a little bit of, I like these little bit things about everyone. And then you transition to become the person you are, right? Like, so yeah.
Right. So, if your personality was an outfit, what would that be?
It would be a power suit. It would be a well-structured, tailored power suit. And I'll tell you why. Because I feel like for me, the power suit can be worn with everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're wearing a very nice blazer, I know at a leap affair I'll wear it with a skirt.
Yeah.
Right? Like at a board meeting, I'll wear it with a trouser.
Yeah.
Right? Or I can wear it with shorts if I'm just going out for a drink or whatever. Right? So for me, it just gives me that power.
Yeah.
And it gives me that attention, which I feel like women need to command when they walk into a room.
Yeah.
And it automatically elevates how colors.
Yeah. I also think that it makes a huge difference when you're in a room trying to close a deal. When you're not that well dressed, your fit is not good, even if it's the most costliest outfit in the world, if it doesn't fit you well, or you're not well groomed or anything of that sort. Versus where you're very well dressed, you're structured, you're confident in what you're wearing and how you're looking. I think it makes a lot of difference, and the other side really helps close deals very, very well.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that. And to that, my next question to you is, what does spa dressing really mean to you?
I think exactly what you said, right? Like what makes you feel confident? What makes you feel bold? What makes you take control of your narrative? Because I truly believe everyone has a narrative, right? Like everyone has a way of who they are. So if mine is energy and like, I think like I was telling you, my pitch and my voice and, I think that becomes my narrative.
Yeah.
So I feel like power dressing has to be very personal for a person. For you, it could be a skirt because that looks great on you.
Yeah.
For me, it could be a trouser because I feel that looks good on me. So I think really knowing what is that thing and then picking the right outfit for what you're, kind of going for, or what depending on, again, like if you're closing a deal, then what is going to help you. Of course, I agree at the end of the day, what you bring to the table and what you say is what will close the deal.
Yeah.
But I do feel like how confident you feel in the moment is all. Like, and whether that's a piece of clothing, whether that's an accessory, whether for a lot of people it's bold lips and heels.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever it is that works for you.
Yeah.
I think it's a complete combination of the outfit, the confidence, the accessories, the fragrance, the vibe, everything coming together and making you the best version of you. I think that's spa dressing, and that comes with first identifying what what works
It needs
best
to
for
you.
me.
Yeah, you have to go in, I think,
Yeah.
before you go out,
Yeah.
right? Like the same rule for personal branding.
Yeah.
You really have to go
Yeah.
in and be like, okay, this genuinely, and have allies who will tell you,
Yeah.
like people you trust will tell you, like, is this looking good on me? Am I looking confident? Am I sounding confident, right? Sometimes when I feel like, you know, at Leap Affairs, which are our larger events that we do with thousands of members, which also means like every Leap Affair I've clocked like 20,000 steps. So there, and I remember the first two, I wore heels because I was like, that is making me feel very powerful. And after the second one, I'm like, guys, I have to move to flats. So the first time I wear heels, and then I immediately move to flats because there is that much to do, right? So I think also being, also knowing what the occasion is, right? Like, are you dressing the part? Really? Yeah.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And ironically, I think not a lot of women know about what works best for them. I think we women are so busy in our lives in general that we hardly get time to focus on ourselves. And that's how it's been. So I think knowing what is you and works for you is the first step, and then dressing for the occasion, obviously that goes for it. So completely agree. And now, like, coming back to the part of your Leap.club and community building, I personally feel that you are building one of the most difficult businesses.
I agree with you.
Community building is not easy. Building a brand, okay, I can start, I can do it. Like bringing people together, constantly keeping them engaged, ensuring that they feel safe, they feel like a family, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So, like, if somebody were to start a community today, what would be your 3 tips for them? And like from your learnings, what should they do? What should they not do? And how to make it like a really growing, booming business?
Yeah. So I think number one, and I get this a lot because of course, like everyone wants to build a community today, right? Like whether that's someone that's selling clothes to someone selling watches to someone, you know, I think also selling like finance courses, right? Like everyone wants to build a community, and of course, like it is the hot buzzword. But Leap.club actually didn't start with wanting to be a community, right? Like we started as a network, but then I think the community evolved and it became, and members made it what it is today. And so for me, the first thing I would say is, what is that one thing that's binding everyone together? So if Leap has to start all over again and we say, yeah, we're building a networking platform because that's what we were building, which is for all genders, I don't think the community would have come together as beautifully. For us, the common thing was, of course, the fact that it's only for women, and also our mission, which is more women in leadership positions. So even within women, people who do feel like women coming together is something that is going to take this country forward, because it will, right? So I feel like that common mission that is binding your entire community together is important.
Okay.
Number two, I would really say that give your community members the power and give them the resources to run the community for you. I was giving you that example of Leap Day, right? And I said, like, we're a 10 people team right now, but we just pulled off like an event in 16 cities on the same day at the same time. And I don't think that would have been possible without members, right? Like in cities like Pune and like Dubai and London and Singapore and Jaipur and Ahmedabad and, you know, Chennai, wherever these events happen, we had members running the show.
How amazing.
And and Leap.club is a very like structured, checklist oriented and all of that business because of how the founders function, right? Like, so the fact that everyone in between their jobs take out time for things like going over our emails, coming on dry runs, coming to the venue at 9 a.m., ensuring everything is uploaded on a drive before they log the day. So I just feel like the fact that we invest in them is appreciated, and which is why they invest back.
Yeah.
So my second one would be, teach your community members how to build, and they will do a better job and they will tell you how to run it, right? Like Raika manages the Bombay WhatsApp group, for example, right? So I think all of those things are learnings that we've taken, and if that WhatsApp group wouldn't have been booming, today one of our biggest features, which is Circles, which redirects everyone to WhatsApp, wouldn't have happened because they learned that people don't want to talk inside an app.
Yeah.
They just feel like WhatsApp is
They're
easier.
just
So let your community decide your product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say those would be my bigger this thing, and third will just be keep your eyes and ears to the ground and really be okay with change. I feel like a lot of people are very stuck up on no, this was the idea, so it has to run this way. And I feel like had we not heard about offline, we would have still been trying to like make each cohort try to use the app. But if this is the future, then this is the future, right? Like listen to what
And I
people
love
are saying.
how self-engaged the groups are. I think they don't need y'all anymore. Like even if they're so they have that leap belongingness with them for sure. But then even if y'all are not engaging or something is not happening, there's always chatter on that group. And I also see that like whenever there is some concern raised on the group, I like see your team or you actively responding to it.
Yeah.
And the thought that comes to my mind is that they have so many groups.
We are on 5:30 WhatsApp.
How do they respond to so many groups?
See, that's the secret. I'm not going to.
I'm sure there are people telling you how to do better. But yeah, I mean that's
But even then, I want to flag that sometimes, let's assume we miss the tags. There are community members who will say, hey Ragini, by the way, this message has come.
how
Thought you
cool.
might want to have a look at it.
Nice.
Right? So, and I feel like sometimes, this one time we were changing pricing, I remember. And there was some chatter on one of the Bombay groups only.
Yeah.
And I had just, I think, sent an update and then I sat on the flight. And the flight is like 2.5, 3 hours long. So I have no idea. So that anxiety has killed me. And I have landed to like 169 messages, I remember. But members have sorted it between themselves.
Oh.
So someone has stepped in saying, Ragini's not seen the message, so let me respond on her behalf. This is not my team at all. These are like members. So I really feel like if you're really, and I think authentic, and if you're real, and if you just tell them, like, have that heart and hustle at your core, the community responds. 99% people will understand.
Yeah.
They will understand whether that's a price change, whether that's a strategy change, whether that's, canceling a feature. And if you've been a member, you've seen how nimble we've been with our product, right?
Yeah.
So really understanding and being honest with people, and sometimes it's not easy, right? Like I just sent out a member mailer and I know I sat on it for 5 weeks before sending it out recently,
Wow.
right? And I was just like, even for me who loves to build in public, this is too much truth. And then I was just like, if there's anything people respect, it is the truth. And it's not like they don't know.
Yeah.
So say it now. What is the worst to lose? Yeah.
Nine, for sure. And I think that honesty and then just being available and just being very it doesn't feel like Leap is leading the community or driving it. It's just the way that we're all a part of it, and there's no like everybody has that belongingness, but there's no responsibility or ownership on
There
one
is no
person.
entitlement.
Everybody is a part of it.
Yeah.
And one of these conversations only that you were mentioning, I think you mentioned that you're a kick-ass negotiator. And you start with like half the price.
Yeah.
And then you will try to close the deal.
I'm a sabji wala when it comes to negotiating. Yeah.
And that's like a very important, very less known, very less learned skill, right? A lot of people don't know how to negotiate.
Yeah.
Be it on a professional front or on a personal front.
Yeah.
So, what are some tips you'd like to give to somebody to learn how to negotiate better?
So I think my number one would be know your number, right? Like I think when you're entering a conversation, know your number, know what you want out of the partnership, or whether even if it's an interview, right? Know what is it that you want,
Yeah.
and accordingly quote a number. And I say this to girls who interview with me always, because I feel like no one said this to me, whether I hire them or no, because at the end of the day, I'm also a founder.
Yeah.
I also have a P&L to manage. I also have bills to pay. But, I'll always say, I'll come back to you on this, but let me just tell you what you could have done differently, right? Like, and this is how you say. I feel like sometimes women are just so sorry to give a number. I'm so sorry, but I really need this, right? I'm so sorry, but like 15 is what I
pose
can
it more
do.
like a need
Yeah.
than like this is what I deserve.
Like, know your non-negos, right?
Yeah.
Like, or this is what I bring to the table and this is why I feel like ABC. But also knowing when to walk away. Like, sometimes no one wants to get into the whole you say a number, I say a number, you say a number, you say a number. So, I think be a little bit strategic about it. but like don't be afraid to walk away because people can see fear.
Yeah.
People can see when you are desperate for it. And I feel like, which is why like things which come with experience, right? Like confidence, reading the room, understanding what is your, okay, iske below I'm not going, right? And a lot of practice and a lot of mirror work. Like it's crazy, but like I will always record myself. I will always practice in front of the mirror 10 times.
Yeah.
Right? So I think those are my little tips and tricks. And of course, like when I'm shopping, I'll always start with half the price. Like you said, like as ridiculous as it sounds, I just bought a phone and someone's just like obviously the Apple dealer is like, ma'am, आपके पुराने phone का ये मिलेगा. And I was like, यार 40 तो होना ही चाहिए. Right? So I think just be likable and don't say it in a little condescending way. Be friendly.
Yeah.
Right? Because no one wants to deal
They
with
will
that.
negotiate if they hate you. They have to like
You
you
have
to be
to
able
be
to
a
bend.
likable person, and I feel like if you're an you can't win any deal, right? And I learned that in Zomato, right? Like we used to, I remember like you're managing someone like a Priyank Sukhija who runs like the bigger chains, to a I think Vineet who runs like the FIO, this thing to like I sold to a panwala, like I remember Dimmi Pan Shop in Hyderabad. So you need to know how to talk to everyone and how to get your point across to everyone and be likable. I feel like everyone enjoys talking to people who they enjoy dealing with, right? And those are also, honestly, that's also why people renew and why they will always, you'll make that sale once, but what's making them come back to you is going to be that. Yeah.
This also resonates a lot with like a very good customer service. Like their customer services were very rigid and will be like very rude. No, this can't be done. And there are some like Amazon, for example. I love their customer service.
They'll always pick it
just
up.
so flexible. And even if the product is non-returnable, I order it because मुझे पता है Amazon will fix it
Figure
for
it
me.
out. Yeah.
So I think that's like super important because that makes me go back to Amazon every time and not any other app. And I remember we were doing this pop-up and there was this immersive experience that we were doing. And I went with one of my teammates for shopping for that experience. And we were both negotiating. And then, like say for example, kuch cheez ka, the person quoted 300. And then her negotiation would start at 250. I'm like, boss, wait, we start at 150.
Always
And that
start
is
at
how
half.
we come to 200.
Yeah.
And then she was looking at me, I'm like, how does this woman
You have
negotiate?
to be shameless.
Yeah, man.
Right? Like, and sometimes, like I know my co-founders just like, why? And I'm like, let me do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and
it works.
It works. And I remember, I think one of our title sponsors for Leap Affair and the price slab was X. And I knew it was such a hit. For the next one, I just doubled it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, in 5 seconds, I got a, yeah, cool. Right? So until you don't push your own boundaries, no one's going to do that for you. Right? So I think you really need to know, one, what you bring to the table, but also really practice a lot. And honestly, for people interviewing, just be friends with HR, man. There is no other way to do it. Like, just know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Like if you yourself have that certain like bar for yourself, people automatically be able to raise their own bars.
And if I can add to that, don't be afraid to lose also.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we take these losses too personally, right? It's not personal,
It's
right?
okay.
One will
There's always
go,
another
will come.
Yeah.
It will take one, yes. But you will learn what worked for you on that and then hopefully practice that again and again. Yeah.
I feel you have come so far along, whether it's Leap, whether as a person in your own life. And, I read this somewhere, it totally, resonated that maybe you don't notice your progress.
Yeah.
Because you're always raising your bar.
Yeah.
So how do you like balance between celebrating how far you've come and aiming for the next goal?
Yeah, so I'll be very honest. I think the first 3 years I didn't. Like I just went and like all founders are crazy, you're crazy, I'm crazy. We're always running from like goalpost to goalpost to goalpost, right? Like we just don't pause. But I feel like for me, and of course the last 1.5 years have been hard, right? Like for everyone, not just Leap, right? Like across the board, it's been a crazy year and a half.
Crazy.
And And I feel like for me, that big unlearning that's happened in the last 1.5 years is I've really started pausing a little bit. And I've become okay with sometimes like staying on the goalpost. Let me just put it that way, right? Like today, if I'm on A, I don't necessarily have to be like, acha, next is B and let me sprint. Right? It's okay to sometimes just pause at A. Like the offline club is a great example. The first question I get is, when is the next one? Right? And I'm just like, I don't know. That's the right answer. And why should I give myself a date and give myself a timeline and kill myself and my team, right, for it? I will let the patients do the talking here, right? Like, so stay on the goalpost. Of course, like be that crazy person because that gene is not going to go away. That is what makes you a founder at the end of the day. But like stay on the goalpost, celebrate the milestones a little bit. I've started taking a lot of like even if it's a 2-day break, I've started taking it. I'm just like, it's okay, I'm gonna go to work 2 days away, even if it's just with my dog. I don't need anyone. I just need to pause, reflect, and then figure like, okay, acha chal, now this is my next milestone, right? So I think that has been my larger, how do I pause and not
And
run?
pause is also important for avoiding a burnout.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know or learn how to pause, more often than not, that burnout is going to be killing your day and your productivity much more than just pausing itself. Yeah. And
Like had I holidayed in this break, that would have really, because sometimes we feel like, okay, we've gone for a hectic holiday, but that's a break, but that's not a break.
yeah.
Right? Like traveling again and again, taking flights and again is not break at all.
I just went to Japan and we walked 20,000 steps every day, and after coming back from Japan, like,
Then
I
you
was
need
like,
a
I
break.
know I need a vacation now.
I need a vacation from this vacation.
Yeah. And I also remember, like you said, right, even while building J, we've never gone on a trip yet, right? And what used to happen is with my team, I always used to discuss, let's go somewhere. And they'll be like, no, let's hit up, they will be like, let's hit a milestone and then we go.
Yeah.
And then by the time we hit that milestone,
That was the next one.
there are so many things going around that you forget that was a milestone for yourself to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like always reaching to the next, and then every time it's like, now we need to hit the next milestone. Then we'll go. Now stop focusing on milestones. I'm like, let's just go. We've been putting efforts no matter what. So we need that kind of break.
Celebrate the
That's also
progress.
super important. Yeah. Like even if it's not a milestone, I think celebrating it every day
journey.
as well, the whole journey, every few months, take like a day out with the team and you know, beyond work is so important. Yeah. This is one of my favorite questions. What's that one thing that you've unlearned in life or work that has completely changed how you approach challenges?
So, Jenny, to be honest, all my life I have truly believed that hard work solves everything, right? Like you can work very hard and that's how you succeed, right? Like I think in the last 1 year, what I have unlearned is that yes, hard work is important. It is, I would say, 90% of what will help you and like what will lead you to success. But there's a lot of other things that come into play, right? Like how you think, how you strategize, timing, relationships, luck, right? Like
Even
just
street smartness for that matter.
just a lot of smart work, right?
Yeah.
Which will help you together be successful. You can't do all the dog work and expect that things are going to work out my way just because I work very hard. And I feel like all my life I have believed if I work hard, you know, God will figure a way to like make it work, and it doesn't work like that at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I feel a lot is also getting out of your comfort zone and doing things you never thought you would.
Yeah.
But at the same time, knowing where is the part where you want to get out of your comfort zone and where it is something that you have to strategically delegate or ensure that like your energies are invested in something that's of more value.
Yeah. No, just
A
adding
lot
to
of
that.
planning and prioritizing that.
Yeah, and I feel like there's also sometimes too much importance given to getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I feel like yes, I have been a very get out of comfort zone, push yourself, push your boundaries, and all of that person. But at the same time, sometimes it's okay to stay where you are, right, and not necessarily push yourself out.
And you know, one also important thing is that just being at it. even if it is not working for 16 hours a day, just being at it, not giving up, taking breaks, and ensuring that you work for 10 hours a day or 6 hours a day, that's fine, but just don't stop working. That also is very important in additional to hard work.
Yeah.
Because
Resilience.
Yeah, resilience. Because then hard work, today's culture is such, right? People just glorify a 70-hour work week, and there's a lot of debate on LinkedIn about that as well.
Mr. Murthy has made it very tough to not talk about this or talk about
Yeah,
this. But
so I think still knowing, like, being very smart about your own limitations and your own strengths, and then playing.
And yeah, let's be honest, sometimes you have to put in those 12 hours.
Yeah, sometimes you do.
Yeah,
for
right? Like
sure.
it's humanly impossible to be that person every day of the week. But whatever your 100% looks like on the day off, right? Like today I can do so much
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do this, right? But I also don't think careers can be built out of, I just want to work 5 hours and then like I'm going to chill. Like unfortunately it doesn't work like that, right?
My first ever job was an investment banking.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
At the age of what, 25, 24, 25?
Yeah.
I started working with like 16, 18 hours
Yeah.
per day,
Yeah.
and then the narrative there was, Sunday hai to kya hua, you can't take a break.
Yeah.
So I have been through that. Even CA was like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what a 9 to 5 also looks like, but
Yeah.
I completely understand, how it, like, when to do that 70-hour and when not of sorts. So
And also when giving it your all has payoffs. Like I genuinely believe that for me, I think Zomato became what it became, and I feel like I won by the end of like just staying in the company for 6 years, right? Because it just happened to go IPO. But it was a lot of like just hard work and pushing boundaries and like sure, I'm not Dipinder and maybe all that money is not coming to me, but I'll have my own outcomes, whatever they may look like, right? And if nothing else, I'll have learnings.
Yeah.
So I feel like just sometimes you have to be the dog worker, but only dog work doesn't help. Yeah.
what's the funniest or the most ridiculous piece of feedback that you've ever received, and how did you handle it?
My pitch and my energy is too much.
Oh, okay.
And it's too high or something like
Okay.
that, right? Like and I feel like I said, right, like I will never shrink myself to suit someone else's idea of who I need to be, right? Like so I feel like I've obviously dissed the advice. I am very Mufat. So I've obviously called it out as well, but like I feel like it was ballsy of the person to I think say it to my face, to be like thoda sa pitch up काम करो. I'm like, but this is who I am. Like why will you speak louder if you want to. So
Yeah, that's a very difficult skill though. Like, I'm not like that.
Yeah.
If somebody gives me a feedback on anything like that, I'm gonna ask 10 people, does this happen? Does this happen? Do I improve now? There's this one reel where I was speaking something and I have like a tooth situation here. So my mouth tends to go a little ooper sometimes. My lips go a little ooper. So there was no comment on that reel except that one person, I don't even know who she is. She's
Yeah.
like, आपका मुंह टेढ़ा है क्या थोड़ा? आपको कुछ problem है क्या? And then I asked 10 people, I'm like, मुझे कुछ problem है क्या? मेरा मुंह टेढ़ा, because you don't realize it yourself so much because
Yeah.
you don't see yourself in the mirror so much.
one piece of
But
advice
yeah.
someone gave me is never read YouTube comments. And I just don't read them. Yeah.
Fair, sir. So, this is one of the last questions. I think I just have two now. Imagine your future self visits you for coffee. What's that one thing that they would thank you for?
For not giving up on Leap.club in the lowest time.
Nice. Yeah. Amazing. And so apt. I think it gives me goosebumps to even listen to it because that's what the journey is. And I'm going to end with one of my most favorite questions that I got asked in one of the investor pitches, and I was completely blank because I'm never blank in an investor
Great,
pitch.
I'm ready to be blanked out.
It's like, why do you think you will fail?
Why do I think I'll fail? I think if I resist change,
Uh-huh.
I feel like if I get very stuck on to this is how Leap.club is going to be
Agility.
and it's going to grow, and not understanding things like timings, markets, right, what people want. I think agility, like you said, and like just the ability to not take yourself too seriously sometimes. I feel like that could be one big thing. And the second thing I think, which is very true for me, is if I spread myself too thin. Like, I think we've all been conditioned to say yes to opportunities because that's how growth happens. And it is true. But I also feel like it's very powerful and very important to start saying no.
Yeah.
And saying no to the right things, right? Because I know for a fact there are times I have spread myself and my team too thin by taking on more, because yes, we dream big, yes, we want to do it all, right? But sometimes it's just okay to be like, this we can't do, right? Sure, there is money on the table, sure, there's growth on the table, sure, there is ABC that can happen as outcomes, but sometimes it's just okay to be okay with no. Yeah.
Dreaming big is good, but just at what cost?
Yeah, and what is the stage you're at? You can't be the person always saying no and expecting fireworks.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice. Amazing. I think this was such an insightful and also very unfiltered conversation. I never knew so many stories that you had, and I think knowing Ragini as the founder of Heat Club versus knowing you this way is so different. Like, I just got to know so much, and it was quite fun. We'll end it with a quick rapid fire round.
Okay.
As
long as we have a hamper, I'm ready.
We do. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna say a few words.
Okay.
I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Don't think too much.
I will not.
Okay. So my first word is power.
Dressing?
It's, you should say J, but okay. Fragrance.
Chanel Blow.
Nice. Fun.
Me.
Good. Leap.
Dot Club.
Offline.
The future.
Nice. Girls.
Powerful.
And the last one, size.
Not zero.
Yeah. I'd say no bar. But okay.
Or no bar. I'll take that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ragini. It was a super fun conversation, and we do have a hamper for you.
Thank you.
This has been made by one of the girls that I know. Her name is Soumya.
Okay.
And a lot of work has gone into making this. I hope you like it.
Wow, there's a lot of work and there's a lot of research that's gone into. I love it.
I want to show it to the camera. Yeah.
It
So
has
this
a little team 5 a.m. club. There is Leap Dot Club. There's Zomato. That's me and my co-founder. There's college. There's, of course, great. There's Standard Chartered. There's everything. There's a lot of research.
Yeah, it's made by, like, she's
that's
handmade it. Her brand is Doodle Maps.
Okay.
She also does a lot of doodle maps, like literally,
Okay.
where it maps out your journey and shows it as a path, and I think that's really cool.
Very
So,
cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Soumya, for this. It's a nice gift. And a little belt. This is a pre-launch gift. We are launching belts soon.
Oh, very
So
cool.
do let me know what you think of this one.
It's green, which is the color of Leap Dot Club offline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea of us launching belts is also that we want to elevate, like, we want to make it easy for you to elevate any work outfit to a party outfit or a dinner outfit just by accessorizing and putting a belt on.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of simple as well as like a more dressy or fancier belt. So let me know if you like it, and whenever you wear it, I'd love to see your
We'll
photo.
send you a picture.
Awesome. Superb. So that marks the end of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me and thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you so much.